off an amazing win against Patrick Mahomes, the Kansas City Chiefs, and the officials 31-28. And yes, you heard that correctly. The referees in this matchup were awful towards the Jaguars. And it's not one of those situations to where I'm just complaining to be complaining. I rarely ever complain about the refs on my channel. But look at this screenshot. Parker Washington is the intended wide receiver. This is blatant pass interference. The referees, they turn a blind eye to it. This goes for an interception. You have Troy Aikman and Joe Buck who are on commentary in this matchup. They both said, hey, this should be pass interference. Where's the flag? They call in the rule analyst. He confirms this should be pass interference. They cut away from him. Now, the rule analyst, he's a former official for the NFL. He's not an actual in-game official. They cut him off because it's a touchdown with Kareem Hunt. The game is now tied. Mind you, the Jaguars were down 14-0 in this matchup. Just a terrible situation all around. You have Liam Cohen, who's upset. The same with Trevor Lawrence. But what can you do? I guarantee you, tomorrow, they'll come out and say, hey, that should have been defensive pass interference, but you won, so it's okay. These are the same referees that screwed over the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple weeks ago against the Cincinnati Bengals. A bad pass interference call on Travis Hunter. The officials are terrible in the NFL. And it's not just the Jaguars, it's other teams in the NFL this season also. But they've been awful to open up the year. In every single Jaguars game up to this point, it has been bad officiating over and over again. But despite that, the Jaguars still come out on top. Let's give Trevor Lawrence his flowers here first before we get into the rest of the game. Trevor Lawrence in this matchup was able to go out there and make big throw after big throw. 18-25, 221 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. And you hear the national media, they always hype up Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson when they're the leading rushers with their team. That's all that you hear about. They deserve that praise. The Jaguars entering tonight's game against Kansas City, they had the 4th best rushing offense. Travis Etienne only had 49 rushing yards, averaged 4.1 yards a carry. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL right now. But the leading rusher was Trevor Lawrence, 54 rushing yards, and he had a rushing touchdown, 2 rushing touchdowns as a matter of fact. The game-winning play, late in the 4th quarter, he slips down because he gets stepped on. He falls down, and you can hear all the Jaguar fans. It's a huge gasp out in the crowd. He gets up, he breaks a tackle, it goes for a touchdown. You now have the lead for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Amazing. This is what you wanted to see if you are a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, because you've heard over the last few years, Trevor Lawrence is a generational prospect. He's a generational player. Coaching has let him down. And we've seen glimpses of this before with Doug Peterson in his first season with Doug. Year 2 for Trevor Lawrence, first year with Doug Peterson. They made the NFL playoffs. They won that playoff game over the Chargers. The next week, Trevor Lawrence played very well, in my opinion, in the playoffs, but he had a lot of drops in that matchup by Christian Kirk and other wide receivers. But Trevor Lawrence came out tonight, big throw after big throw. I don't count that interception on Trevor. Just making big throw after big throw to De'Amon Brown late in the game. The same with Brian Thomas Jr., who was clutch late in the 4th quarter. He had a play that went for pass interference, pushed him right on the goal line for that rushing touchdown by Trevor Lawrence. And Travis Hunter made a big-time play that went for 44 yards in this matchup. Just a huge deep bomb by Trevor Lawrence. He had 3 catches, 64 receiving yards. Wait till I get on him and the defense and how well he played in this matchup. But Brian Thomas Jr. showed up when they needed him to. And that's the second time this season to where he's going through the motions early in game. But you need a big play. Here he comes. He did the same thing against the Houston Texans a couple of weeks ago. This is a very good offense, and the passing game is coming alive right now with Trevor Lawrence. You did this against a strong defense of Kansas City. Don't let anyone downplay Kansas City. They have been one of the most consistent teams in the AFC for a very long time, and they still are. They have one of the best quarterbacks in the game, and Patrick Mahomes. Let's not minimize this victory because it is a Jacksonville Jaguars. The fact that you came down from 14 points, that's a huge accomplishment. And the past with Doug Peterson, most definitely with Urban Meyer, they would have lost this matchup. They would have rolled over and said, hey, on to next week. But you stayed in this game all the way through. And the offense, they deserve a lot of credit. Braden Scrange, their top receiving tight end, he went down with a hip injury early in this matchup, and yet they still kept fighting. just going through adversity. This is what some of the best teams have to go through. Learning curves every single week. One more thing I want to talk about here before I get to the defense. You had 11 penalties in week 1 against the Carolina Panthers, 6 penalties in week 2 against the Cincinnati Bengals, 9 penalties against the Houston Texans in week 3, 12 penalties against the 49ers in week 4 last week. You only had 4 penalties in this matchup. And the reason why is because Liam Cohen said, hey, Trevor, in the offense, he called him in this week. Do you want to line up faster? Don't run no huddle, but line up faster so we could possibly kill these penalties. They all said yes. So you saw big time moments in this game. And even early on in the first quarter, when they were down 14-0, they'll get a play for 5 yards. They hurry up and they get to the line of scrimmage. The reason why they did that, it was a lot of pre-snap penalties, delay a game over and over again, because this is a brand new offense with Liam Cohen, and the same with Grant Udinski, who is the offensive coordinator. And we know that Liam Cohen, he hates penalties. Baker Mayfield has come out and he said this. He's a former offensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. He helped Baker Mayfield have a career year last year in Tampa Bay. But you lined up faster, that killed some of those penalties. You still did have a delay of game penalty late in the fourth quarter, but that was on Trevor Lawrence. He wasn't focused on the play clock. Those plays are going to happen. But to minimize those penalties from 12-4, elite coaching, and shout out to the offensive line for giving Trevor Lawrence enough time. But defensively here, they made big time play after big time play. Devin Lloyd had a pick 6 in this matchup that went from 99 yards. He juked Patrick Mahomes out of his body. And Devin Lloyd has been one of the best linebackers this season in the NFL. Had a phenomenal game against the Carolina Panthers in week 1. Looked tremendous against the Houston Texans in week 3, and the same against the 49ers a week ago. He came away with 2 interceptions. But the fact that he was able to run for 99 yards, that's not easy for any defender or any player in this league. Olakon is a very good linebacker playing alongside Devin Lloyd. Josh Allen was constantly getting to the quarterback late in the fourth quarter over and over again, making Patrick Mahomes uncomfortable. It was one play. He gets home. He cannot bring down Patrick Mahomes, but you got there. And he's one of the toughest quarterbacks to go against because he's able to throw off platform with all those different angles with his arm. And you won this matchup without one of your best pass rushers and Trayvon Walker. He's dealing with a wrist injury. He had wrist surgery. He got injured last week against the 49ers. He's expected to come back very soon. He's one of the best pass rushers in the AFC. He was a developmental player that they selected with the first overall pick a couple of years ago from Georgia, but he's become a very good pass rusher and an elite run stopper. So playing alongside Josh Allen in tonight's matchup was Emmanuel Ogbah. He played fine. He had some bad moments, but he looked okay. But the back end of this defense, Jordan Lewis continues to be the best cover corner on this team inside the nickel cornerback position. Just phenomenal. And you have Tyson Campbell. He did give up one big play, but he had a solid game and a solid outing. He made plays when you needed them the most. And then you have Travis Hunter. Travis Hunter made a very good play against Travis Kelce early on in this matchup. It was a 3rd and short. It was a slant route. Travis Hunter gets there. He hits the hip, goes for a deflection. Tremendous play. Late in game, he's keeping up with Hollywood Brown. He's keeping up with Xavier Worthy over the top. He had to check out the game. Seemed like he pulled a muscle or he was dealing with a cramp. But he had a very good outing in tonight's matchup against Kansas City. And that's why you drafted him in the first round, because of his versatility. And let's not forget, you traded next year's first round pick to select this kid. So he can make big time plays on the offensive end and the same on the defensive end. And he's only going to get better. And the safeties performed very well in this matchup. Have to give them credit. And one more thing about the officials here. The one last time I complain about them in this video. I don't want to over complain here. You guys can let me know in the comment section below am I tripping or not. This should have been a touchdown in my opinion. The ball crossed the plane from what I see, but they ruled this turnover on downs. Now, shortly after this, the ball got deflected and it came out of Trevor Lawrence's arm and it went for a fumble. But in my opinion, the ball had already crossed the plane. I understand it's a bang bang play, but it would have been 14-7 possibly. But instead it was 14-0. So despite all those miscues, a turnover on downs, a bad no call on pass interference, You had to deal with all that adversity. You still bounced back and you still won this matchup because your defense made a special play on the goal line, and Trevor Lawrence was awesome in this matchup. And this defense, they're legit. Fourth in rushing defense entering this matchup. They have 14 takeaways in 5 games, 10 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles. And this is a unit that only had 9 takeaways last year in the NFL for the entire season. They were ranked dead last. And now you're first in the NFL. Shout out to Coach Anthony, the defensive coordinator. But the Jaguars, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And now this division that they're in is very interesting because you have the Indianapolis Colts. They have the same record as the Jacksonville Jaguars. And you have the Houston Texans right now. They're starting to pick up steam over the last couple of weeks. The Tennessee Titans, they're a rebuilding team. I said this in my last video about the Jaguars. If you are a Jaguars fan, you hope that Brian Callahan sticks around forever. They're a rebuilding team right now. No one's really worried about the Tennessee Titans. But this could possibly be a 3-team race. But from what I'm seeing right now, how this defense is playing, and I trust Trevor Lawrence more than I trust Daniel Jones, I would go with the Jacksonville Jaguars to potentially win this division. And multiple teams could come out this division. I can see that happening as well with the Indianapolis Colts and the same with the Jaguars. But as it stands right now in this current moment, Jacksonville is not a team to be played with anymore. They're legit in the AFC. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you feel about Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless. Peace.